Melania Trump was driving through the busy streets of New York when something caught her eye. A young girl standing alone on the sidewalk with a sign asking for help. The girl's eyes were filled with sadness, her expression a mixture of despair and vulnerability. But there was something about her that seemed strangely familiar, something Melania couldn't quite place. As she drove past, their eyes locked for a brief moment, and in that instant, something stirred within her. The girl's eyes held a certain depth, a hint of a story that seemed to echo from the past. Melania slowed the car and came to a stop. Without thinking, she got out and approached the girl. Her heart told her to do it, even if her mind was still trying to figure out what exactly drew her to this young stranger. "Are you okay?" Melania asked, her voice soft, filled with genuine concern. She could feel the weight of the girl's sorrow without having to know her whole story. The girl hesitated, wiping a tear from her cheek. "I'm Sophia," she said in a quiet voice. She was only 12 years old, but looked far older in the way she carried her grief. "I've been on the streets for weeks, trying to survive. My mom, she passed away last year, and now it's just me. I don't know what to do anymore." Melania's heart broke for the young girl standing before her. She was reminded of her best friend Emily, who had passed away years ago. Emily had always talked about wanting a daughter, a girl named Sophia. The connection between the girl and Emily's memory felt almost surreal. She couldn't turn away now. This girl needed help, and Melania could give it. "Come with me," Melania said, taking Sophia's hand. "You don't need to be alone. You don't have to keep struggling like this." As they drove back to Melania's mansion, she couldn't help but feel an overwhelming sense of déjà vu. Sophia's resemblance to Emily, even though faint, was undeniable. There was something so familiar in the way she looked at the world, just like Emily had once done. Maybe it was fate, or maybe it was a sign that Melania had been meant to cross paths with Sophia at this moment in time. The girl deserved a chance, a future beyond the harsh streets. Upon arriving at the mansion, Melania introduced Sophia to the household staff and made sure she felt welcomed in her new surroundings. The house, with its grand architecture and luxurious finishes, felt like a sanctuary, but Sophia seemed distant, unsure of how to fit into such a world. Her eyes were clouded with sadness, and her smiles were rare. She spent her time looking out the windows, lost in thought. Melania didn't push her to open up immediately. She knew the healing process would take time. But she noticed the silence that lingered around Sophia, a silence filled with grief and fear. As the days passed, Melania started to unravel the truth about Sophia's past. The more she learned, the deeper the concern grew in her heart. Sophia's biological father was a dangerous man, a criminal involved in drug dealing, extortion, and various illegal enterprises. He had a long history of violence. Emily had fled from him when Sophia was just a baby, escaping with her daughter and going into hiding to protect her. They had lived under the radar for years, always moving, always running, until Emily's health began to deteriorate. As time wore on, Emily became more vulnerable, and her ability to protect Sophia began to weaken. The thought of this dangerous man finding them kept Emily awake at night, but she had done her best to shield Sophia from the truth. After Emily passed away, Sophia was left to fend for herself, constantly looking over her shoulder, terrified of her father's return. Melania learned that Sophia's father had been searching for her relentlessly, using all of his criminal connections to track her down. The messages that Sophia had been receiving weren't just threats. They were personal, meant to instill fear and force her into returning to him. Melania felt a growing sense of urgency. She knew that no matter how safe the mansion appeared, the threat was real. Sophia was still a target, and the danger hadn't gone away just because they were in a new place. One night, Melania was jolted awake by the sound of Sophia crying out in the distance. Rushing to her room, she was horrified to find the door ajar and Sophia nowhere to be seen. Panic seized her chest. She frantically searched every room in the mansion, calling for Sophia, but the girl was gone. Finally, Melania found a note hastily scrawled on a piece of paper, tucked into Sophia's pillow. It read, "I'm sorry. I have to go. He's here. Don't try to find me. I'll be okay." The words hit Melania like a physical blow. She knew exactly what Sophia meant. She had run away, thinking that if she stayed, Melania would be in danger too. She couldn't let that happen. Melania's love for this girl was as fierce as her determination to protect her.